and they score! And Giroux's got it! He deflects it by Antiniemi! And the Flyers have some magic left as they win it in overtime!
Voracek cutting on in, Voracek to the middle of the shot, he scores!
It's time for the 5-Minute Major Podcast.
He scores! Simon Gagne!
That's what the people came to see!
Now here's your hosts, Matt Mastrogiovanni and Dave Morris.
Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of 5-Minute Major Radio. Dave here, as always, with my broadcast partner in crime, Matt Mastrogiovanni. Matt, how's it going this evening?
It's going well. We were just talking before we started recording here, and we're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel with some topics of discussion for tonight. I think we're kind of in that lieu of hockey season is on the horizon, as we will mention later in the podcast tonight. But with it being mid-September, things are beginning to start ramping up. And then come this time next week, and this time in two weeks, give or take a few days, we'll be in the preseason, and then in a little less than a month, we'll be back in the mix, as PK Subban likes to say, of the NHL regular season, and things will just be in full swing. So, not too much excitement right now, but the excitement's coming.
Yeah, definitely. I would say the excitement is ramping up. I feel like the Eagles' big Week 1 victory has kind of invigorated the city, whereas the Phillies have decided to let everyone down for the 10th September in a row.
Yeah.
So I think everyone's kind of pissed off at them.
I need to tell the telltale sign for me at this point is like when the weather starts to get a little bit cooler. I'm not saying it's going to be like 30 degrees, but like when you can wear a hoodie for like the first half of the day, and then it's sunny enough, or like it's hot, it's warm, but it's not hot. Where, I mean, as we've had the past couple of days here, it's been in the
summer has returned.
We are a meteorology podcast now, but
yes, exactly.
We've been in the mid to high 80s with some humidity, and we have some scattered storms. It looks like coming into the area the next couple of days. So I mean, the weather's been pretty dicey. So that's like another telltale sign where like you need that hockey weather and you need football weather. Football
Yes.
and hockey weather are like interchangeable, where you have that cold little crisp in the air, and you get that you're just, it's chilly but it's not cold. Also looking forward to soup season. So I've had a couple cups of soup on the chilly days that we've had in the past couple weeks here. Some good Wawa chicken noodle, no free ads, but great soup, and looking forward to it getting cooler outside so
Definitely.
that we can warm up more with some soup.
I know my wife Brenna. We have one of the like ninja foodies, like it's air fryer / dehydrator. It's like the big like all in one little pot.
Yeah.
And we used that last year. She made some soups out of it, and she's been like, "When can I bring it out and make soups?" I'm like, "It's not fall
It's like
yet."
a crock pot too.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It is. It was on our wedding registry, and we got it last year before we got married. So
Man, I gotta get married so I can get cool shit.
dude, you get a whole bunch of free cool shit when you get married, and we're doing it again.
I mean, I have a crock pot and an air fryer, which I use a lot. So I mean,
it's an air fryer, it's a crock pot, it's got a dehydrator for beef jerky, as you would know.
I might have to invest just
a pressure
because
cooker.
it would save me a lot of space because I live in a small apartment. So I mean, I need to conserve space. So if I get a 9-in-1 contraption like that, I mean, we're in business.
It's awesome. I've cooked everything in there I've done beef jerky, hot dogs, sausages, chicken, like you name it. It's gone in the air fryer. So
I just made air fried Brussels sprouts tonight for dinner.
They sound good, but I'm not the biggest Brussels sprout guy. We are now a food and air fryer podcast. We started out with hockey, then we went to football. Then we went to meteorology, and now we're on air fryers.
I texted you today and said it's going to be a mixed bag tonight.
Yes, it is.
We don't have a lot of hockey related stuff tonight, so if we just have to shoot the breeze here for 40 minutes and just give the people some tips and tricks about how to use an Instant Pot or a 9-in-1 Ninja, then hey, we'll do that.
Exactly. I know. And if we're talking about dinner, you did air fried Brussels sprouts. Tonight we did cooked a good old flank steak on the cast iron pan with
There
some
you go.
good old Kraft white cheddar mac and cheese.
You can't go wrong with cast iron.
Oh no, cast iron's the best way. But let's say we get the people what they want and do get some hockey news in there. There's really not much. With it also being closer to hockey season, we will have more to talk about, and we will be going back to an episode every week shortly here because things are ramping up. And I feel like this is the time of year where you record a podcast and you decide, let's do it every 2 weeks. And right after you record one podcast, the team that you podcast about decides to go, you know what? I know these guys just released an episode, but just kidding. We're going to announce news 2 days after they released their newest show. And that's literally what happened. Our last podcast was sent to you guys back on, I believe, on August 30th. And on September 2nd, the Flyers decided to sign winger Joel Farabee to a contract extension 2 days after our last podcast. So thanks at NHL Flyers. I'm sure you'll find a way to retweet me yet again and increase my Twitter fandom. But like being said, Joel Farabee, 6-year extension, $5 million average annual value. I mean, what isn't there to love about this? Yes, it is a decent pay raise for Joel Farabee. But the Flyers are definitely paying him for what they think he's going to become and what they've seen from him so far. It goes into effect during the 22-23 NHL season. And of course, as we all know, Joel Farabee, young Beezer in the mix, as we like to say on Flyers social media. That mixtape is coming soon. Left/right wing, taken the first round, 2018, 14th overall. He's from Cicero, New York, but his dad is from the area, so he's grown up a Philly sports fan, which you just love to see. And of course, this is a player that the Flyers are hoping they have part of their core and hope that he has become their quote-unquote sniper. Matt, I'll let you give your thoughts here real quick, but overall, I mean, I don't think we need to harp on it too long since this is news that's almost 2 weeks old at this point. Yeah. But you're looking for Joel to elevate on that 20-goal mark that he hit last season. You're looking for him to add on to that this year, and I think it's a great deal. It's an easy cap hit to manage, and it's a player who's going to be part of our core for years to come.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say much more than that's already been said. I think, like you said, the Flyers are kind of, I guess, all in on his future at this point. He does have his last year of his ELC will be this upcoming season, and then, like you said, that new contract will kick in next year. But he's shown a lot of promise so far. A little bit slow out of the gate when he first came up to the team for the long haul, but I mean, again, I think he was arguably our best player last season, and that got kind of lost in all the crap that went along with last season as well. But I mean, I think, again, like you said, if he can elevate his game and continue to elevate his game and just continue to build on his offense, to build on even his defensive side, I mean, just to become a well-rounded player and be a top 6 guy, I think that's going to be a steal of a contract compared to other guys that are either similar to his age or just similar players in general. I'm trying to think of anyone off the top of my head, but I mean, it's a good contract for hopefully a good player who just continues to get better. But yeah, like you said, we're not going to harp on this too much because it's old news at this point with the way that the news cycle continues these days. But good signing, and young Beezer staying in the cut.
Yeah, and just some quick little fun facts about Joel Farabee. This is, of course, from the Flyers website and NHL.com. Last season, 2020-21, was his second in the league. 38 points, 20 goals, 18 assists in 55 games. He only missed one game last season due to having COVID or being in COVID protocol. His 20 goals led the Flyers in scoring, and he became the second youngest Flyer since Eric Lindros to lead the team in scoring in a single season. He scored 12 more goals than he scored in all of 2019-2020, his rookie season, in which he only had 8 goals in 52 games. And his 38 points last season were a 17-point improvement from the previous season. 17 of his 20 goals came at even strength, which is pretty big. Some nice 5-on-5 scoring. Maybe up that a little bit more on the power play coming up here in the future. And a little fun fact, in 2020-21, the past season, he was awarded the Pelle Lindbergh Memorial Trophy as the most improved player as voted by his teammates. And of course, he has a total of 59 points in 107 regular season NHL games in the part of 2 seasons, 28 goals, 31 assists, and of course he has 5 points in 12 Stanley Cup playoff games. So overall, those are all good things for a nice young player that you look to take the next step with, and hopefully he does, because he's probably going to be the next player I buy a jersey for whenever I'm allowed to buy a jersey. So
I gotta buy a Hart jersey. That's another thing. We can go mixed bag here again before we get into our next Flyers topic, but I got to figure out who I'm going to buy a jersey for. Actually, this sounds terrible. I have a Nolan Patrick jersey, so tough look for me at this point.
Nolan Patrick, who still has not signed a contract with the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah. I need to find like a tailor or a seamstress who can potentially remove those names, those letters, and the number from the back of that jersey so I can possibly get someone new on the back.
Do you know if it was heat pressed or hand stitched?
I think I bought it online.
So it's probably
heat pressed.
Which means I don't think there's much you can do.
Well, maybe I'll put Hartnell's name over it in tape.
That, or I don't know, burn it. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll figure it out. But I mean, it's a good jersey. It's the old, I guess it was the Stadium Series, the black jerseys at Heinz Field against Pittsburgh, and then it was the alternate for a few games. I really like the jerseys, but I mean, obviously the guy on the back. It
still is our current alternate jersey.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, but I mean,
it is a 6 sweater.
Yeah, but tough look for me anyway. Dave, on to our next topic of discussion here.
Yes, definitely, indeed. Mastro, I'll let you take the reins on this one.
Sounds good. So, I think this is again, arguably, possibly a polarizing figure in the Flyers community. I guess more of the fan base than the community. But on September 9th, last week, it was announced that USA Hockey was going to be inducting, I almost said indicting. That's not the right word. Inducting Paul Holmgren into the United States Hockey Hall of Fame as a member of the class of 2021. Holmgren was quoted saying, "I'm deeply humbled and enormously grateful to be bestowed this honor by USA Hockey. Growing up in Minnesota and reflecting as far back as I can remember, United States Hockey is a program that I have looked up to and always strive to be a part of. I am incredibly proud to have had the fortune to wear and represent the red, white, and blue during each and every occasion I've been asked. I would also like to extend a congratulations to each of the other inductees, all of which I'm honored to be included in a class with." Holmgren, as I just called him, Paul Holmgren. He's a native of St. Paul, Minnesota. He's currently serving as the Flyers senior advisor after a remarkable 40-year tenure with the organization that has spanned nearly every role with the team. He's the only individual in the franchise's history to serve as the Flyers player, assistant coach, head coach, general manager, and president, and he also spent time as the team's director of pro scouting from 1995 to 99 and assistant GM from 1999 to 2006. I mean, if you're a Flyers fan and you don't know Paul Holmgren, why are you a Flyers fan? You don't deserve to be here. No offense. But, I mean, like the article said that I'm getting off NHL.com and the Flyers website, he's pretty much had every position in the Flyers organization. As a player with the Flyers, he had 138 goals, 171 assists for a total of 309 points, not 39. Had 1,600 penalty minutes, which are the second most in franchise history, assuming behind Dave Schultz, and was named to the 1981 NHL All-Star Game. He also, again, had distinguished work with the USA Hockey program. In 1974, at just 19 years old, he was a member of the United States junior national team at the World Juniors and played for the United States at the 1981 Canada Cup tournament. He also served as the GM of the 2006 United States men's national team, as well as the assistant general manager of both the 2006 U.S. Olympics men's ice hockey team and Team USA at the 2016 World Cup of Hockey. Behind the bench, he served as an assistant coach for Team USA at the 1998 Olympic Winter Games and the 96 World Cup of Hockey. He was selected to join the U.S. men's national team advisory group back in 2009, which was formed in February of 2007 to assist USA Hockey with the selection of players and staff of U.S. men's national teams, including the Olympic team. In 2014, he received the Lester Patrick Trophy in recognition of his outstanding service to hockey in the United States. It's clear cut here that he deserves to be in the United States Hockey Hall of Fame. And I mean, he's a Flyer through and through, but also just a GD American, Dave.
GD American.
Like, I mean, you gotta love it. Congrats to Holmgren. We've ragged on him in the past for things that he has done as the general manager, but can we say all is forgiven?
I mean,
most is forgiven?
I feel like most is forgiven. He did turn around a slumping team that led us to almost a decade where the Flyers were, they were a Stanley Cup contender. At least for a period of 5 to 6 years, they were in the mix every year.
Yeah.
And it just came to an end. His tenure with the organization really didn't end that well, with a couple questionable moves. But at that point he had kind of extended his time had expired here. So it was time to move on and take the team in a new direction.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say everything's forgiven. He single-handedly, he took a team that finished last overall in the NHL in 2006-2007, with the second overall pick, and he made them reach the Eastern Conference Final the very next season with the moves he made that offseason. I mean, we're not going to go over those moves again, obviously, because if you're a Flyers fan, you know what trades he made that offseason. You know what signings
back
he
the
made.
Dial.
That was a summer of awesome.
Yeah.
So I mean, it is a no-brainer here. We can also touch on something. This kind of segues Mastro into something we didn't even think about discussing on tonight's podcast. So it really is a mixed bag. But he is also a nominee to go into the Flyers Hall of Fame this season as well. The Flyers did make some changes to the voting in system. So if you like, I can address the other nominees along with him.
I mean, I think we only need to address one, in my opinion.
Oh, I mean, there's a couple.
I know. I'm being completely biased in that aspect, but
yes.
Go ahead, Dave. I'll let you do it.
Besides Paul Holmgren being up for election into the Flyers Hall of Fame, you have Simone Gagne, who played 691 games for the Orange and Black, 264 goals, 271 assists for 535 points. You have Bob Kelly, 741 games played, 128 goals, 168 assists for 296 in points. Then you have Lou Nolan, who has been, he is right now, I would say, the face, of Flyers hockey. That's not like an athlete.
Yeah.
He was in the Flyers PR from 67 to 72, and he's been the PA announcer for the Philadelphia Flyers since the 1972 season. I mean, Lou Nolan, what else can you say about him? Then you get into a couple questionable nominations in my mind, because while these two players were excellent and one is in the Hockey Hall of Fame, they kind of had their success with some arch rival franchises.
Yes.
And I remember them more for their moments playing against the Flyers than I do with them as a member of the team. You have Mark Recchi, 602 games played with the Philadelphia Flyers, 232 goals, 395 assists for 627 points. But he won all of his Stanley Cups with the Pittsburgh Penguins, Carolina Hurricanes, and Boston Bruins. Then you've got Rick Tocchet, who won all of his cups with the Pittsburgh Penguins, but 621 games played, 232 goals, 276 assists for 508 points. As a player and coach, won all of his Stanley Cups with the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yep.
So to me, ultimately off the hop, if you are I don't care what your numbers are based off of being a Philadelphia Flyer, but you won with the Pittsburgh Penguins To me, that is an automatic, you are done, crossed off the list forever. And Rick Tocchet, he left. He was a Flyers TV announcer analyst.
Yeah.
And he left that job to go coach the Penguins.
Yep.
So that's like double like stab in the back. And I get hockey's a business, and he was traded or signed there, then came back to Philly. Both Ricky and him did it. But at the end of the day, you won championships for the second best, the little brother wannabe city in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So screw you, Mark Recchi. Screw you, Rick Tocchet. And I know that's going to be a controversial take because they both put up some great numbers with the Flyers, and Rick Tocchet is a former captain. But winning with Pittsburgh and winning with Boston and winning with Carolina, that writes you off in my book. To me, out of all of these nominations, it's either got to be Lou Nolan or Simone Gagne. And I love Gagne, one of my all-time favorite Flyer players. Love him to death. I don't think this is his year personally. I think he gets in next year. I think this year you have to give it to Lou Nolan just because it's Lou Nolan. The fact that he's not in there yet is almost an insult. Yeah. Gagne will have his time. Gagne will be in the Flyers Hall of Fame without a doubt. It's just it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. This year you got to give it to Lou. That's just my 2 cents. I mean, I dread the day that I go to the Wells Fargo Center and there is Lou Nolan no longer calling Flyers PA announcer games. It's even weird now if Lou's sick and you have the other Keith Jones who calls the game. It doesn't have the same vibrato, the same ambiance, the essence, the air even tastes different.
The essence.
The Flyers' essence is different.
What air are you tasting around Lou Nolan?
I mean, it's Lou Nolan. The dude he's been with this franchise forever. He's seen them at their highest highs and their lowest lows. He's got to go in my opinion. He just has to. And then and the Gagne goes in next year.
I mean, again, like I said before, when we mentioned this, I'm going to be biased. I think Gagne should be the one that gets elected. I do think Lou Nolan is definitely one of the top deserving candidates as well. It's tough. I mean, all these guys, obviously, they did have success with the Flyers, but like you said, Dave, Recchi and Tocchet had bigger successes elsewhere. I mean, hell, any player that wasn't on the Flyers in 1974, 75, or 73, 74 has had better successes on other teams, sadly. Yeah. Sad tweet there for the Flyers Cup drought. But, I mean, and again, I think, I think if I had to pick between the two, it would be Lou Nolan and Simone Gagne. Gagne is my favorite player of all time. As I said in that fabled video that was on Flyers Twitter a few months ago,
when we were both toasted off of Pink Whitney pregame.
Yeah, responsibly. But as I said with my mustache, that is going to be back soon. But I've had the Gagne jersey I've had for like over 15 years now. It's like I think it's an adult large. Somehow still fits. I've probably grown with that jersey, so that's probably why it still fits.
You've stretched it out over time. You've made it adapt to your adult form.
Exactly. But I mean, Gagne, by far my favorite player of all time for the Flyers, Simone Gagne. Just some iconic goals that he scored in the franchise's history. I mean, most notably, I would say would be that 2010 goal against the Bruins in Game 7 to give the Flyers that 4-3 lead in the game.
Mean, he did a lot in that series. He scored the OT winner in Game 4.
Yeah.
I believe he scored a tying goal in Game 5 or Game 6. And the game winner in Game 7. And then you can go back to earlier playoff runs in 2004. Game 6 overtime against Tampa. He forces Game 7. That legendary Gary Thorne call.
Well, I mean, now you're feeding right into my hands in the campaigning for Simone Gagne here, Dave.
Hey, listen. I am perfectly. If Gagne were to get in first over Lou Nolan, I would not complain. I just say, all right, Lou goes in next year. But my personal is I would just do Lou and then Gags. That's just my personal preference.
Yeah, one thing too is there's guys on this list. There's guys that aren't even on this list that I think are deserving of their chance and their time.
Danny Briere,
Chemo
Mike
Timonen.
Richards.
Yeah.
I would put Richards in there.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't. I mean, looking back at it now, I feel like
He had a little bit of like a complicated legacy.
yes, and I mean, I feel that team. I mean, even Richards now has come up and said he's like, if that team wasn't broken up, they would have won a championship. But the locker room hated each other, and there was a whole lot of off-ice drama. But I mean, maybe made captain too early. But I mean, he really was the stamp of like when I was getting back into hockey, it was Gagne and Richards and Danny Briere that really cemented my love for the sport again. So, and Chemo Timonen. I mean, I think those guys got to go in. Personally, it's at some point. And Briere is now working back with the franchise again, so we'll see. There's a lot of good names that deserve to go in. You know, the Flyers Hall of Fame is a big honor. It's not like getting your jersey retired or anything like that, but it is a big deal. And the Flyers always put on a great pregame show before that induction.
Oh yeah, definitely. But
Yeah,
I think we. Oh yeah, I mean, if Gagne, one of my other friends just texted me and said if Gagne gets inducted into the Hall of Fame for the Flyers, we're getting a box, like we're getting a suite.
I'm already in.
I'm like, I would not miss that for the world. So
I'm already in.
Yeah. But I think we can segue here from former Flyers to future Flyers, with the Flyers rookie camp opening tomorrow, September 16th. It is the 2021 rookie camp, which will begin tomorrow, Thursday, at Flyers Training Center in Voorhees, New Jersey, the home of the Flyers practice facility. If you didn't know that, now you do. The camp itself will consist of on-ice sessions for the first 2 days and end with 2 rookie games against the New York Rangers. The Flyers rookies will take on the Rangers rookies on back-to-back days beginning Friday, September 18th at MSG Training Center in Tarrytown, New York.
It's September 18th is a Saturday.
Oh, they got it wrong in the release.
At Flyers typo.
Saturday, September 18th at the MSG Training Center in Tarrytown, New York, and the following day, Sunday, the 19th, at the Flyers Training Center back in Voorhees. If you want to see the full roster of attendees, you can go to the Flyers website and look at that. I'm not going to read it because it's a lot of people. But expected and notable attendees include first-round draft picks Tyson Forster, Morgan Frost, Cam York, and several others who have made their debut in the NHL, such as Wade Allison, Jackson Cates, Tanner Lazinski, Maxim Shusko, and Igor Zamula. Again, like I said, you can find a full roster attached to the article. The rookie camp does precede the Flyers' main training camp, which begins technically on Wednesday, September 22nd, but on-ice sessions themselves will begin on Thursday, September 23rd, so a week from tomorrow. You can also find more information about that main camp on the Flyers website, mainly right now just how the attendance will be. I'll just read this quick. The training center will be closed to fans during rookie camp from September 16th to the 19th, but the team will welcome fans back to the facility when training camp begins next Thursday. Final information about health and safety precautions for fans will be released closer to camp itself. I would assume it's going to be some form of masks or vaccination status or anything like that.
Limited capacity.
So if you want to see Flyers training camp, wear a mask, get vaccinated, one of the two, both of the two. But yeah, I mean, like we said at the beginning, things are beginning to start. I know that's kind of redundant, but that's what it is at this point.
Under redundant, see redundant.
Come tomorrow, we will have some form of Flyers hockey. It won't be anything uber special, but I mean, rookie camp starts tomorrow, followed by next week, the official training camp, and then on the 28th of September, this month, just 13 days from today, less than 2 weeks, we have the Flyers' first preseason game against the New York Islanders at the Wells Fargo Center. So, like I said, folks, hockey's right around the corner here, and it's all beginning to start.
It is all beginning to start, and I definitely will be going to a couple preseason games. I will find a way to at least get to one or two of those at home, just because I need to be back in the Wells Fargo Center watching this goddamn hockey team.
Fans got to warm up too.
And precisely.
Make sure you stretch out, maybe have a couple beers, get loose.
You got to warm up the opening the wallet for the $12 Miller Lite, you know?
Yeah.
Or Labatt, whatever your preference is.
$12 for crab fries. I'm gonna have to take out a loan to go back to Flyers games these days.
Yep. Yes, sir. Indeed.
But hey, if a team is good, I will pay to see them. That's what it comes down to at this point. Because I did not want to pay a single cent to see the absolute dumpster fire that was on the ice last year.
I didn't even want to watch the dumpster fire on my TV last year.
Yeah, exactly. They were like, "Hey, fans can come back now," and we're like, "We don't want to."
I don't know about that.
So, but anyway, Dave, I think that wraps it up for tonight with the Flyers for us. We do have a couple fun topics to talk about when we go around the league here, but again, we don't have much to talk about around the league anyway. So, let's say we take an ad break and we go around the league.
You read my mind there. So with that, we will be right back here at 5 Minute Major Radio.
Hey guys, I'm here to talk to you about Anchor real quick. It's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me give you some reasons why. First off, it's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or from your computer. So if you want to make a podcast on the go, like from a Flyers game, that's awesome. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more podcast resources. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. That's right, money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Again, the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
And we are back here at 5 Minute Major Radio. And I don't want to humble brag, but Master, I don't know if you know this, but we took our ad break at exactly the 30-minute mark of the podcast tonight.
Killing it.
Unintentionally, very impressive.
Hell yeah.
But with that, we can go around the league.
So, I don't have an official release for this, and it's bad radio and bad podcasting that I don't have the official date. But Dave, if you can maybe give me the assist here. We were talking about this beforehand. If you didn't know, this is also kind of old news at this point, but it was made official last week or almost 2 weeks ago that the NHL will be going to the Olympics next year in 2022. I believe the Olympics are in Tokyo, but
they're in Beijing,
China.
Yes.
All right. But
yes, I have the article up.
Take it away then.
So, in an agreement, this is from an article by Emily Kaplan of ESPN on September 3rd. Yet again, right after our last podcast, curse you ESPN. But an agreement was reached between the NHL, the NHLPA, and the IIHF and the IOC that NHL players will participate in the 2022 Olympic Games in Beijing. The agreement does carry an opt-out clause. The NHL and NHLPA can pull out of the Olympics should COVID-19 conditions worsen, or if the 21-22 NHL season is disrupted by cancellations and the league feels it needs the Olympic break to use to make up games. The deadline per ESPN is believed to be in early January. There's no set date for that just yet. Yeah. Of course, as we all know, the NHL did not participate in the last Winter Olympics in 2018 in Pyeongchang. It was essentially World Juniors and KHL players part 2, and the Russian cheating Olympic athletes won it because they had all their pro players there, except for the few that play the NHL. Screw you, Russia. Sorry, not sorry. Yada, yada, yada. The NHL, the NHLPA, and the IIHF and the IOC, that is a mouthful, have been negotiating on again, off again all summer long, and they finally passed through some arbitrary bylines and came to an agreement. This was something that, it was bound to have happened, and it needed to have happened. You had players like Ovechkin who were saying, I don't care what the NHL does, I'm going to go play in the Olympics. And, Team Canada is going to be murderers row. You potentially are going to have your top 3 centers, Crosby, McKinnon, and McDavid.
Yeah, I mean, all four of
It's
their lines are going to be unreal.
it's in like there's
And their
debate of like,
goaltenders, their defense, I mean, they're going to be,
oh,
like you said, it's going to be murderer's row, that whole
it,
roster.
there's the whole debate of which Flyers could go. Lindblom maybe could make Team Sweden. Ristolainen will probably play for Finland. You have to think if Carter Hart plays well, maybe he's a third goalie for Canada. Sean Couturier, I feel like, should be on that Canada roster. But it's gonna be really interesting. And Team USA should shape out good. Who knows? Joel Farabee, Kevin Hayes make Team USA. That would be kind of cool. Keith Yandel, maybe. I mean, you never know. It's all hypotheticals at this point, and they're our good pals over at Pottery Bullies, our affiliate podcast, a couple episodes ago for their podcast had a good kind of debate on as who they think should or should not go to the Olympics based off of their personal opinions. So I don't want to give away that whole entire podcast for those who want to listen, because you should listen, because it's an excellent program. They kind of they took a deep dive into the Olympics, whereas we're just kind of giving you a little glossy surface at it. But yeah, it's just good the fact that you're going to have NHL. You're going to have the best hockey players in the world back at the Olympics, back for the best sport in the Winter Olympics. I know I didn't even watch the Pyeongchang Winter Games just because of work schedule and stuff like that. And I'm like, I just watched the World Juniors. I don't want to watch amateurs again. And I know Russia's going to win because they've got all their KHL superstars. So what fun is that? So this year now, it's actually you're going to have every team is going to be an all-star team with their respective country members. So I'm ecstatic. I'm not looking forward to the game start times, being that it's in China. This is also huge for the reason the NHL is trying to expand into China and gain that market share. The KHL already has a team there with the Kulin Red Star. The NHL has started to play preseason games in China. So this is huge. You need to market your athletes to the best of your ability, and going to the Olympics does that. So that is kind of the skinny there on the NHL IIHF IOC agreement.
Sounds good. I don't really have any other thoughts besides what you said. So I'm just excited to see Olympic hockey back.
I'm hoping. I will say this: one last thing on the Olympics. I hope Nike redesigns every country's jersey, because this design they had been using for the past couple years that they had debuted back in 2018, at least I know for Team USA, are atrocious. Except for the throwback uniforms. There's
only one option for Team USA, and it's the 1980.
You gotta wear the 1980 throwbacks.
Yeah,
it's non-negotiable.
Yep.
So that's all I have to say about that.
Unless they do the World Juniors. Was it 3 or 4 years ago now when they played outdoors at the Bills Stadium, USA and Canada?
Buffalo Bill mock
the Bills inspired jerseys, those were sweet. I mean, you can't do those for the Olympics because they're not gonna be like, oh, let's do an NFL inspired jersey for the Olympics. But those were good jerseys. But yeah, USA Hockey, you gotta go with the classics here. I mean,
have to.
Maybe if there's a way to put a modern spin on that, I don't know off the top of my head, but I mean. Yeah, Nike, do something cool. Don't do any boring, I don't know. Spice it up a little bit, like you said, Dave. That'll be one of our jersey watches. Oh, speaking of that, we had 2 jersey watches recently. Look at that. We're finding new topics on the fly here.
It's just how we're doing. It's what happens when you're 2 weeks before the start of the season. It's just like, well, what do we talk about tonight? Let's just roll with it and see what pops in their head during the podcast.
So
it keeps our listeners on their toes.
Dual jersey watch came out last week. Yeah, this past weekend. No, Labor Day weekend. Sorry, I'm trying to think about when this happened because I'm going on off the cuff here.
What, when, why, where, and how?
We had the Minnesota Wild and the St. Louis Blues release their Winter Classic jerseys for the upcoming 2022 Winter Classic at Target Field in Minneapolis, Minnesota, I believe, home of the Minnesota Twins. Yes. Both jerseys. I will give, you can't see it, but I'm giving 2 thumbs up. Those of you who are listening can't see it. Dave can.
I can see it.
But 2 thumbs up, 1 for each jersey. Actually, two thumbs up for both jerseys, so that's 4 thumbs up. That's a lot of thumbs. But if you want to, just Google it, look up their Winter Classic jerseys. The Wilds are nice. They're sweet.
No.
You don't like them?
No, I'm giving 4 thumbs. 2 thumbs up for St. Louis's. I think those are fantastic.
You're going 2 thumbs down?
2 thumbs down on the Minnesota Wild's jersey.
Oof.
I hate them.
Uh-oh.
I think they are busy. It's a good. It's like that jersey's like a group project. It was like there's 3 helmets on there that are really nice, and then there's that last person who like barely talked to everyone, didn't pull their end, and you have to add on their stuff at the last second, and it brings your whole presentation down. And that's what I feel like the Minnesota Wild. It's just it's busy. There's too much going on. They overuse some of their current colors, and there's weird designs. In theory, I see what the idea was, and I see what could have been good, and then the end result is just like, nah, bruh, not for me. Now, the St. Louis jersey, I think is fantastic. That is a classic sweater already, but Minnesota, nah, not a fan.
I mean, St. Louis, didn't they wear these jerseys already for the most part?
I mean, St. Louis only has so many jerseys in their history to go off of, so you're doing another variation of some of the jersey they've already worn.
I do like the off-white, like the cream colored. I don't know. I think I like Minnesota's a lot. I like the fact that they have the tan gloves and the tan pants. Those are sweet. And then they have, I don't know, I just like, we'll agree to disagree here, Dave.
That's perfectly fine.
We have
maybe
4 thumbs either way, but
precisely
2 different styles.
I mean, I'm looking at the jersey now. And for those who are listening to our podcast right now, I recommend that you pause the show right now. You go search for these jerseys online, look at them yourselves, and then come back and rejoin the podcast. Well, I just feel like you didn't need I'm fine with the horizontal stripes on the sleeves, makes sense. But the 2 on the belly button line and the nipple line, you didn't need.
Yeah, I think the chest one, I can agree with, but I think the waistline is like
the waistline. I think works.
Classic hockey jersey where you have something like that, and I like the shoulders.
The shoulders.
I like the gloves and the pants.
I do not like
the pants is sick.
I do not like the tan patch on the elbows either. I'm like, you're trying too hard to look old school at this point. There are in theory some really good elements with this jersey, and there's just a couple things that go, but why?
Yeah, I don't know. I like it.
Hey, agree to disagree. That's the great thing about this podcast. Master and I, believe it or not, are not always going to agree on stuff.
A rare occurrence.
Very rarely happens because we are just so smart with our hockey knowledge. I mean,
true.
But every once in a while, head's got a butt. It's fine. It's fine.
Jersey Watch is back, though. I'll tell you that. And I think we're going to get
back with spicy takes.
I think we hopefully will get more. See, I want them to. That's another thing too. I'll gripe here for a second while we're on the jersey situation. I think they should bring back the reverse retro jerseys again.
I think they should. Yes, I completely agree.
Like, why would you do that when A, you have a shortened season, and B, you have no one in the stands for 75% of the year?
It was literally just
I understand it was a TV thing.
It was a TV and revenue thing for the teams, but I mean, if I'm the Flyers, I still wear those. I think those jerseys. If I wear when I go to any Flyers game this year. I also didn't buy
one, so I need them to be available for me to purchase.
I got one from the grandparents' clause for Christmas last year, so I got very lucky.
Grandpa clause.
But more like grandma clause.
Grandma clause.
Grandpa just said, "Here, Betty. Here's the credit card.
Here's the money." Total dad move.
Love you, Nate and Betty. That's for the grandparents, for those who do I know, I believe, listen from time to time. But yeah, like I said, when I'm going to a game this year, I'm wearing my Giroux reverse retro jersey, unless I have to change it up, because I do keep wins and losses records for each jersey during the season, and I am that one could say anal. But if I wear a jersey one night and the team loses, the next game I go to, I am not wearing that jersey. But if they No, I just put it back in the closet.
And I go to
then I go to the next jersey. And then if they win while I'm wearing that specific jersey, I wear that jersey until the team loses.
All right, I can live with that logic.
It's a superstition. I do it with all the sports teams. Like I've got this year with Phillies games, I've got a Bryce Harper jersey, and I've got like an old school Phillies like throwback baseball tee. And I've got the hats that match for both. So this year I alternate between wearing the old school look or the Bryce Harper jersey with the new school hat. They finally won with the Bryce Harper jersey and the new school hat the other night. I don't think I'm going to any other game this year, but it's just what I do. Just what I do. Like for the Eagles, I've got Fletcher Cox and I have a Carson Wentz jersey. I might have to do something with that. And then I've got a Zach Ertz jersey too. So it's like, you got to change it up.
So actually, while we should
get back to hockey though.
We're still on jerseys though, because I have some breaking news / a thought that I forgot about as well. The Avalanche. Dave, I know you're a fan of the Avalanche jerseys.
They've ruined them even more.
They have made more changes to them in the fact that they have made the numbers for the away jerseys light blue. Thoughts?
Do not like. They have. I think they. If I thought I hated these changes they made last season, I hate them even more now. You took one of the best color palettes in the entire league with the burgundy, that like royal blue, white, silver, and black. It was awesome. It worked together. It was different because no one else had these type of color schemes. And then you know what? We're just gonna get rid of the black and we're gonna throw more blue on there.
So it looks like, I'm not sure if this is the right picture because this is from August 5th, but I did see one earlier today, but I can't find it. So if this is the right picture, and I could be inaccurate here, believe it or not, I am wrong once in a while, but the number is blue with a burgundy outline.
Yes.
But the nameplate,
is all burgundy.
Is all burgundy.
Yeah.
Let's just pick a couple colors there, Avs.
I don't get it. I do not get it whatsoever. If this was Adidas' idea, if this was Colorado's idea, if this was NHL's idea, you have dropped the ball big time and you have ruined one of the best uniforms in hockey.
Soiled it.
It's done. Like it pains me. I was okay with the blue pants and the blue and white gloves last year because you still had the black in the numbers. And I was like, you know what? And you still had the black nameplate. I'm like, that's fine. You still have it there. But man, it's just Colorado Avalanche. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Fair enough. But Dave, we can segue into our last topic of discussion tonight, our last concrete topic of discussion, because we've had a lot of ones that have come out of the weeds as we've gone along. But as it was announced yesterday, if you didn't know, the NHL is coming to TNT this season, and we'll have a star-studded game and studio commentator team. Sorry. So I'll just read through the list here and go over this article I found on Bleacher Nation. Never heard of this website, but it looks to be accurate to my knowledge.
You ever heard of Bleacher Nation?
I know Bleacher Report, but I've never heard of Bleacher Nation.
Huh.
Anyway, back to our scheduled programming. In the studio, we have analysts Wayne Gretzky, heard of him, Anson Carter, Rick Tocchet, and Paul Bissonnette, Biz Nasty. Hosting the in-studio show, we have Liam McHugh. For game broadcast, we have an A and a B team, as the article says. The A team will be Kenny Albert along with Eddie Olczyk for color commentary. And then we have Brendan Burke along with Darren Pang for color commentary as well. Those play-by-play and analysts throughout the games. And at ice level, they're calling it now, formerly known as Between the Glass. We have Keith Jones, which I am excited about because he's a great broadcaster. A lot of these guys are. Actually, all of these guys are. And contributing.
Except for Kenny Albert.
Yeah, I'm not a big Kenny Albert fan, but you live. But contributing to the game and studio team, we have Jennifer Botterill, Tariq El Bashir, and Jackie Redmond from the NHL Network. So a very solid team here to call. I mean, I think this is going to be a really good team, honestly. But just going into things here, we have obviously the NHL is not returning. It's coming to TNT after that deal was signed with Turner Sports a couple months ago. But the network will host a national broadcast doubleheader on October 13th, with the first game being between the New York Rangers and the Washington Capitals, followed by the nightcap of the Chicago Blackhawks taking on the Colorado Avalanche in Denver. It would also be the broadcast home for the 2022 Winter Classic between the, as we previously mentioned, Minnesota Wild and St. Louis Blues, held at Target Field. But I mean, there's going to be a good slate of games here on TNT, and obviously ESPN being the other main broadcast for the NHL at this point. After a 15-year run on NBC, came to an end with the Tampa Bay Lightning winning that game, winning the Stanley Cup against the Montreal Canadiens this past season. But a lot to look forward to here with these new broadcasts. We got a little bit of a taste, Dave. I don't know if you caught this the other day. It was the New York Fire Department against the New York Police Department's hockey teams.
I did see they played
MSG. It was actually really cool. I think it was the first time the game has been broadcast because this year is the 20th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks. But that was good hockey. But I watched that, and they had it was John Buccigross on the call with Kevin Weeks. Buccigross, I'm on the fence about him as a commentator. Seems like a great guy, but I don't know if I can really dig his style. But I love Kevin Weeks. He's awesome. I've loved him on NHL Network, on NBC Sports. I mean, he's always been great. But they're two of the mainstays. They'll be two of the mainstays on ESPN, along with I'm forgetting other people's names, but you can just go look online for them. But I mean, there's a lot to look forward to with the new broadcast homes for the NHL this year. The league has a huge opportunity to market itself, mainly the players, to current fans, to bring in new fans, to just make things more interactive. Just again, to make their players seem more human, as we've talked about before, doing things that they do with the NBA and the MLB, where they do players walking down the tunnel showing off their outfits. I mean, you have guys like Austin Matthews and David Pastrnak who come dressed to the nines in these cool outfits before the game. See, I mean, there's a sponsorship opportunity right there. Or it's like you have little kids or even people our age where it's like, I want to look like Austin Matthews when I walk down the tunnel. I don't know if I would do that because I probably can't afford any of that clothing, but
what you could afford is some pit vipers like David Pastrnak.
True. But I mean, you even see it on like NBC, like when they do when they do NFL games. Yeah, they show they show Aaron Rodgers, they show guys like Cam Newton or any of those guys just coming into the stadium with their fits on, as the kids call them these days. But I mean, again, there's huge opportunities for the NHL to market itself way better than it has in the past with these new broadcasting homes. But Dave, with all that being said, any thoughts on the NHL on TNT broadcast team?
Well, I think it's gonna be really well. It's gonna be a well-run production. TNT knows how to do sports, and their basketball production crew is fantastic with Shaq and Barkley on there. So I mean, the fact that you've got Gretzky, you've got Biz, Rick Tocchet, who we've already touched on this podcast. But I mean, it's a really good panel, and those guys know their stuff. And you need Wayne Gretzky back in like the main spotlight for hockey, and having him on TV is fantastic.
Yep.
So I personally love these moves. You know, Biz is a bit of a polarizing character for some who might not be a fan of who his current employer is with Spittin' Chicklets and Barstool Sports. But you know, the guy really, I personally am a Paul Bissonnette fan. I always have been. I will defend the guy from time to time. I'm not trying to get on a soapbox, get political here. But, you know, compared to some of the guys at Barstool who you kind of go, ooh, at, Biz to me doesn't really fit that reputation, and he might have in the past some people, but I mean, I'm not trying to give a free ad for Chiclets here, but he really has throughout the years matured and
Yes.
become much more of a more professional broadcaster, and he wouldn't get hired to be on national television if he wasn't. So
Yeah.
I did see quite a bit of a flack on the twitter.com today over his choice of being named from people who are just violently, anti him. Give him a shot. That's all I gotta say. Just give the broadcast a chance. And from personally being the guy, from my own experience, you were there also, Mastro.
Yeah.
Treated me with nothing but respect and was a great chat for 5 minutes. So I've got no
But
ill will. I'm
yeah, and like
excited. I'm just excited to see TV. I'm supposed to see hockey on TV,
I'm
and
just
it's
excited
not
to watch TV.
I'm excited to watch TV in general. But rewatching House of Cards with the wife right now, and we just
Uh-oh.
finished Breaking Bad and Orange is the New Black, so we're like rewatching shows.
There you
So,
go.
but no, I'm just excited to see hockey back on TV and it being different because NHL and NBC got bland and it got boring and predictable. So now you've got the biggest network in sports for ESPN and the second biggest in TNT now, and you've got hockey back on those networks. It's going to
Yeah,
be
I mean, again, you have hockey back on. Hockey is back with the big four leagues where TNT and ESPN they broadcast. I'm pretty sure they broadcast every other like of the big four sports leagues, including.
yes,
I mean, you have like every major sporting event for the most part on ESPN. You have TNT who does pretty much like I mean again, hockey is in its rightful home at this point when it comes to broadcasting, and it's just I mean it's up to both the league and the players to take full advantage of it.
definitely. It's I mean, hit the button right in the head, and if they can get players coming out of their shells, kind of like I know we didn't touch on this. Another thing coming out of the weeds tonight. I don't know if you saw the article that got released about Connor McDavid, pretty much telling the officials to call the rule book and call the game properly.
Uh,
That got some traction today on twitter.com. So, hey, I mean, I'm all
but that's
for it.
also a thing where it's like again I've said this before where like we see all the drama that goes on with the NBA. But that's
And it
stuff that
gets
people want to see. Like
exactly
that gets
that gets
attention.
ratings.
Where when you see like James Harden wants to get traded because he hates like Kawhi Leonard or something like that. I don't even know if they're on the same team. I'm not a big NBA guy, but I know a few names. But it's like that's the stuff that people like to see, and like that gets people involved. Where it's like like there's off ice drama between like Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner, or like they want to create like this would never. I don't think this would happen in the NHL, but it's like Connor McDavid wants to create a super team in Edmonton like they do in the NBA where they want to like they're like yo come here for like 2 years we'll win a championship and then go to a different team
Well,
like
to do that, you need some major changes to the salary
yeah
cap. And
I
that
was
ain't
gonna say
happening.
Edmonton needs a complete overhaul to be anywhere close to a super team just to be a better team but you know what I
Edmonton ain't
mean
winning
where it's
shit.
like as they say there's no such thing as bad publicity where even if you're stirring the pot a little bit with things off the ice or on the ice where it's like I mean again you have guys like I don't know this might be a long shot but like and it's probably not good to market fighting in the league but it's like you have like if you have like a matchup between actually Reeves is on who's Ryan Reeves on now I forget I got to do a refresher of all my free agents but he's on the Rangers.
Yeah.
So like if you do and you have Washington and New York as the first game on TNT. There's your marketing right there. I mean again, you don't want to market fighting, but you literally have two of the physical titans in the NHL up against
Oh
each
yeah,
other.
I'm taking the over under on a Revo Wilson tilt. That's going to happen.
I mean, and again, like you see like things that happen throughout the season where like you see like we saw it with the Rangers and the Capitals when they played after that whole Panarin Wilson thing where we saw that line brawl and all those fights in the first period. The layman hockey fans want to see fights. I mean, us as diehard hockey fans love to see fights too, but it's like, hey, if you are like, like I wonder what sports are on tonight. There's a hockey game between the Rangers and the Capitals, and you turn it on and there's a line brawl going on, and you're not like a diehard hockey fan, even if you just love hockey fights, you're probably still gonna watch that.
And even if you're not a hockey fan, if you turn on TNT to see what's on because you see the hockey's on and you turn on to that, you're like, oh, I'm going to watch this for a little bit. So,
yeah, and then, I mean, again, word of mouth is they say is the best advertising, where if that person goes into work the next day and was like, yo, I watched this crazy hockey fight on ESPN or TNT last night, and they're like, no way, like, do you want to watch a game and, like, see if there are any fights? And it's like, maybe a fight doesn't happen, but they see a highlight reel goal. And I mean, it just, you got to it gets the people going, which is
Exactly.
cool. I mean, you can hear it in my voice right now where it's getting me going, where, I mean, TNT, again, right out of the gate, you have the Rangers and the Capitals. You have just, it's a spark plug. It's a powder keg. And I mean, it's going to be awesome. I'm just excited for hockey at this point. We should probably end this because I can just go on a tangent about how excited I am.
Yes, definitely. I feel like we've addressed everything we've needed to address this week. I believe, Master, we'll probably need to talk about this more off of the air, but coming up here, obviously with the season coming into start here, I believe this might be our last 2-week break.
Beginning to start?
Yeah, I feel like our next episode, this will be our last, our next episode on the 29th. And I feel like, that's going to be the 29th, going to be right after the preseason started. And then the 6th, in the middle of preseason, we're going to be back to doing every week soon. So if you are a fan of the podcast who has missed hearing our lovely voices every week instead of every other, well, don't you worry.
You'll get sick of us soon enough.
Precisely. But with that, before this gets too off the rails, we will obviously keep a tab on things, knowing the Flyers, they're going to announce something tomorrow or Friday. That's tonight. Pretty big news. That's going to make us go, oh, well, thanks. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Everyone, we hope you had a great Labor Day weekend. Obviously, those who were honoring the 9/11 anniversary earlier last weekend, hope everyone paid your respects to that. I know I'll never forget where I was when I witnessed that on TV happen. Yeah. We wish everyone still doing with that, our best wishes and thoughts and prayers, etc. But with that, everyone gear up. Flyers hockey it is around the corner. Technically back tomorrow.
It's beginning to start.
For those listening, that'll be tomorrow afternoon whenever the podcast goes live tonight. But we are there. We made it through the off season, and sooner than later, you want to listen to Mash and I rambling for an hour. You will actually have a structured podcast where we are either praising or critiquing the hell out of the Philadelphia Flyers, and I cannot wait. So with that, everyone, enjoy your evening/day/weekend. Get ready. Big things are happening. Let's go Flyers.